Welcome to episode number 3 of Battered Herons. I am your host, Daniel Granada, along here with my two co-hosts, Benjamin Borges
Mhm.
and Mr. Christian Duran. We're gonna kick it off by going over this unfortunate game we just went through here in Orlando. But before I get into that, let's see how you guys are doing over here. Ben, how you been, man?
Good man, good. Listen. I'm glad I didn't listen to you and go to this 3 hour rain delay of a game. That would have been madness, bro.
It was 2
That's all I
hours. It
gotta
was two
say.
hours. 2 hours.
No, I round up, bro. I round up. It was 2 hours and 17 minutes. I know because I have 2 hours and 7 minutes recording of them just talking about the rain delay on my YouTube TV. I know exactly how long it was.
And well, actually, with
up,
that,
Chris?
I'll throw it over to Chris because Chris, I also tried to convince Chris to go to the game, and he also
Yep.
refused and didn't go, which I'm assuming he's happy about now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, let me tell you, one thing I noticed in the Orlando broadcast is that they're not as homey as I anticipated. Their coverage is kind of in the middle when it comes to like covering the opposing team. They give some respect to Inter Miami on the broadcast, so I give them a lot of credit for that. So,
And why were you watching it on the Orlando broadcast?
well, because I had no other choice. I had to download the Orlando app. I mean, I deleted it immediately, but that was the
Okay.
only way I was able to watch it from Orlando.
You know, STDs are
Yeah,
very
I watched-
contagious, right? You make sure you get that virus off your phone immediately.
I did.
I had to
I
watch
did,
it on
and
the
all the
Orlando
Ruan.
on the Orlando
And all the Ruan that
soundtrack,
came
like
with
the-
it.
Well,
I had to watch it on the Orlando
getting
cast.
before we get into the Orlando Miami game, the Sun Classico, as Sun Pass Classico, which I like, somebody coined that on Twitter. I forgot who it was. Some other people call it the Sunshine Classico, whatever it may be. This past week we had El Clasico here in Florida. It was unfortunate, the outcome, but before we get into that, I want to get into some stuff that happened during that rain delay that we were just talking about. Now, obviously, if you mix liquor, passionate fans, and a 2 hour rain delay where you're bored and trying to find some way to entertain yourself, things might happen, right? We had some tempers flaring. Me and Chris have a friend that's part of Vice City. He sent us some interesting videos. And, after the game, we get on Twitter. Well, I got on Twitter, and I saw a lot of Orlando fans going ahead, and they weren't very nice, I guess is the best way I could put it. They were referring to everybody from Miami as criminals and hooligans and, take that L down south and blah, blah, blah with your criminal asses, all that other good stuff. Now, I take offense to this.
Everybody in
strictly
Orlando is
because-
getting canceled. Everybody.
well, because I think I think it's a little over the top to call everybody a criminal just because we retaliated, right? If you watch some of the videos that I posted on Twitter, for the most part, the supporters in Miami were having a good time, jumping up and down, saying whatever they were saying, keeping themselves entertained for 2 hours. I mean, what else are you going to do? But then you had Orlando fans on the second floor throwing beer at them. Now, I understand that if you're from Orlando and somebody throws beer at you, maybe you just lick your cheeks and then just walk the other way, and that's it. That's what you do, and that's fine. If that's how you do it over there in Disney World, that's fine. But in Miami, if you come and you approach somebody, although we didn't instigate it, understand that there will be consequences. All right? That doesn't make you a criminal. That doesn't make you a hooligan. You just don't take people's shit. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to just cement the fact that no, I don't think that they were criminals or hooligans. I don't condone. Let me preface everything by saying I don't condone fighting in stadiums. I think it's dumb. I think fighting over a sporting team is stupid. It's a waste of money, literally. But if you're gonna come and you're gonna throw beer at me, understand that there are repercussions. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if you guys want to say anything over that, but I was a little annoyed at the way that Orlando was trying to represent the Miami fans that were in their stadium.
I mean, yeah. Look, I have a long history of witnessing that kind of speech about anybody from Miami, right? Like growing up a Miami Hurricanes fan, it's kind of what you know, and it's understanding that that's what's going to happen because that's how Miami is viewed. Miami has always been viewed as other, right? Like we're like some other part of Florida. Like we're not part of this whole thing. Nobody ever goes, yo, man, when I go to Florida, I really want to go to Orlando. Unless you got kids or something like that. Like, yo, man, where the city at? It's Miami. It's
That
an
is
envy that it's an envy. It's an envy that happens. Nobody does, bro. Unless you have kids. No, you in your 20s, we're not like, yo, I'm going to Orlando just as a grown ass man. You weren't doing that. You were like, yo, where the city at? Where's the clubs? It's an envy that comes. It's an insecurity from them, which is weird, right? Because they've been around so much longer than us. They're like they're worried about what we might become, right? So it's
for sure. For sure.
Like you said, it's this thing where we're the hot team. They got Kaká 20 years ago and they had Nani, cool, but what we're building here is different, man. And understand, like you said, bro, like we might not start it, but we gonna finish it, bro. You all the smoke, man. We gonna climb up chimneys, like John Moran says. We climbing up chimneys out here.
And to be clear, this show is not condoning violence at the stadiums.
Just in any way, shape, or form,
or cocaine,
anyway,
or cocaine.
Hey, okay, never.
I don't know how we got there. All right, but
I never know. Yeah, you're.
But just know that there are consequences to your actions, and that's it. But no, we're not condoning that.
I mean, look, the way that I look at it is, I mean, I think especially considering that all the Miami fans traveled up to watch the game. I mean, I know that you mentioned something during the time that there was the rain delay. It's very difficult when you have two fan bases that are hostile against each other in this rivalry, and they're sitting there for 2+ hours, basically waiting for the game to start. Something's gonna pop off at some point. And then, of course, Ben, you put the cherry on top when it came to the whole thing, as far as the kind of fans that Miami is versus the kind of fans that Orlando have as well. Where, I mean, they look at Miami guys as, whoa, man, these guys, they're looking for the club. They're looking for some cocaine and some booze and getting crazy out here. You know, where's Mickey Mouse where you need him, you know? And so when you look at fans like that, I mean, they're looking at Miami fans like as irrational. So I could see why they say, oh, well, they're delinquents and things like that. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like you said, Danny, if you're throwing beer on me, we're going to have to throw hands at some point, Bobby.
And again, I don't want to go too much into this. I just wanted to touch on it to begin the game. I thought it was uncalled for when they started calling us, you know, hooligans and criminals. I thought it's just stupid. But they did get the last laugh. Now let's get on to the game. Unfortunately, they got the last laugh. I mean, it's unfortunate because I felt like they played a poor game. I felt like even though it was scoreless, even though they even had more possession, I felt like we created more chances. But in the end, this is the play that kind of changed the outcome. So
this is so hard to watch.
It is hard to watch. Let me start that over. And for those of you just listening to the podcast, we had this cross. Now, as we're watching,
pause it right there.
Stop just a second.
Yeah.
Now, if you see that cross was way too easy to get that kickoff. Reason being, DeAndre Yedlin was covering. Now, Chris, you brought up something to me earlier that made complete sense. DeAndre Yedlin shouldn't have been in this play.
I mean, at that point, he ended up getting injured. I don't know if he pulled a calf muscle or something, but you could tell that he was injured. I mean, look, DeAndre Yedlin.
In this clip, you can see him hobbling over to the ball.
Literally, if you look at the clip, if you look at the game maybe 2 minutes prior to this moment in time, you saw that he went down for about a minute and change, and he was writhing in pain. I don't know if that's the right word, but we'll just go with
writhing.
Yes, perfect. And so at that point, he got up, and they knew to take advantage of that side because he wasn't going to be able to catch up. And so, I mean, they used it to their advantage. I don't know if there was any substitutions available at that point, but, Phil Neville didn't take advantage of that.
I believe they might have had one, but I think it was so late into the game. Maybe he didn't have anybody warmed up. I don't know what was happening on the sidelines, but I believe they still had one substitution to go.
Listen, at that point, I'm throwing my grandma to play defense because my grandma's going to run better than an injured DeAndre Yedlin.
Well, and that ball came in. Again, it was the easiest of passes because he had no pressure on him. But if you look in the box right now, there's absolutely no one in the box anywhere near the near side of the post. Just pause that right there. Oh, brutal. it's all pink jerseys. Now, where's the issue there? Well, obviously, Damian Lowe with the poor play, but the communication. Drake has to call him off. Now, I didn't get to hear the post game presser with Drake. I don't know if he actually called him off or not, but there was a lack of communication there, obviously. Now, Damian Lowe played one hell of a game. Right? I used to be on Damian Lowe's ass in the beginning of the season because he would make a lot of boneheaded plays, but he played amazing this game, and it was really unfortunate that this game ended up being lost on his foot.
Yeah. So even with listening to the Orlando broadcast, right? Even the Orlando broadcast said it. Like they were like, "Man, Damian Lowe's played a hell of a game, and for him to be the reason why they lost, that's tough." At that point the game's over. Like there's not, maybe you might get a couple more kicks, but they really didn't make any chances. Weren't really threatening. I think they had one nice little cross that just went through the box towards the end. It's a tough way to lose. But look, I watched most of this game, right? And they did create the more chances. They were more threatening. Didn't like the starting lineup. I don't like Bryce Duke up there as like the second striker. Is just a little weird to set up Campana. But what I didn't like was that when they the broadcast so you watched the Inter Miami broadcast. I watched the Orlando City, right? Even Orlando City, they were like, I think it was like 15 minutes left. Oh, they go, it looks like Inter Miami's just gonna lock it up now and just wait out till the draw. To me, that's too much time left for me. Like I've seen, you know what I mean? Like 15 minutes, you might do that in extra time and just shut it down and park the bus or whatever. But 15 minutes left, you can see they weren't making as many chances toward the end. I expect I'm not saying go for the win, but at least control the game, not just defending your box. Have a little bit more possession, put it more so on their side, on their third than yours. And mind you, Orlando City to me I don't remember them having the ball as much, but in those last 15 when Inter Miami slowed down and it just wasn't the same, the pace felt different. This still came out of nowhere though. Out of absolutely nothing. So,
well,
I think when it came to the game and the pacing, I feel like Inter Miami controlled the pacing very well. I feel like they attacked, very efficiently every time that they had the opportunity. I don't like Bryce Duke up front. I feel like he would have been more, more effective in the middle. I think that they made that change just based on the fact that they didn't have Higuain, but I guess we'll get to that point in a little bit. Listen, I think that Phil Neville made the perfect choice in bringing in Emerson when he did, because that just kept the pace going. And Emerson, one of the biggest things that you get out of that player specifically is that pace just keeps rolling, if not even better. I felt like the team was hurt a little bit by not having Ari Lassiter available, especially since he suffered an injury in the game prior. I was watching an interview with Phil Neville, and Phil Neville, as far as I could tell, I think he played a center back or a right back as a player in Manchester City or Manchester United. I'm not sure which one of the two. But he mentioned in the interview that he has had own goals himself. And I think that it seems common for a defender to have an own goal because you're really not always recognizing the players that are behind you. So everything happens in a flash, Hopefully the goalie can have enough awareness to be able to call off a defender that's in front of him so he can have a clear opportunity to catch the ball. But things were happening so quickly that Lowe, I've seen him make that play and that thing gets boomed right over the goal. It's just about timing. Last couple minutes of the game. It's a shame that it happened to him because he's been playing so effectively in the last couple games. One of the best center backs, at least for the last 5-6 games. It's just a shame that it happened to him. And, unfortunately that led to a loss.
Well, to what you were just mentioning, he's been player on team of the week 3 out of like the last 5 or 6 weeks. He's been playing really well. You said,
it's tough.
I wanted to get a couple of those things that you said. Emerson, I don't want to jump around too much, but let's start from the start. This was the starting 11. Now, a lot of people had issues with the starting 11 because, like Ben brought up, Bryce Duke being up there as a striker is just odd. Everybody who saw this on Twitter, at least, they were kind of questioning this formation. Now, this formation started off, but it didn't stay like this very long. I don't know how long they held this formation, but it wasn't long until they changed it up, and it was basically 5 in the back, right? So what they did is that they moved McVay, Mabika, and Lowe as the 3 CBs. And the Robert Taylor, instead of playing midfield, he ended up playing kind of like a wing back out on the left side, and Yedlin was the right back. So they had basically 5 in the back. And then Bryce Duke moved back to the midfield. Now, this makes a lot more sense. I'm not a fan of playing 5 in the back. I'm not sure why this is like a tactic that he's using on the road a lot. For some reason, when we play at home, he goes 4-3-3. On the road, he's been playing a lot with the 5 in the back. This
I mean,
is the
but
formation
what
that they went with.
but let's think about it clearly. I mean, with the roster that he had available to him, what other striker could he have played at that point? I mean, Higuaín didn't travel with
Towards
the
the end of the
team.
game? Higuaín didn't travel with the team, thank God. He didn't travel with the team. He stayed at home doing, I don't know what the hell he was doing. But we're good with just Campana up top as a striker. I'm good with just having one striker and having either Duke or Vasilev. Because for the most part, I don't know how things are going to change when Pozuelo comes in. But for the most part, we play up the wings. That's why we have so much speed on this team, right? We create from the wings on in. We don't really play up the middle. That's why Emerson is always in there just running his ass off up the side. Now, the issue I have with Emerson, because I agree with you, I think he does change the pace of the game a lot, which I like. But he's
a young player. He's a young
bonehead.
player. He's
a
super bonehead.
He is a Chris guy. What do I mean by a Chris guy? If you ever play FIFA with Chris, he chooses a team, let's say, for example, that has Neymar on there, right? He chooses somebody that has a lot of pace. And he will literally just play with this one guy and refuses to pass the ball to absolutely anyone and will live and die by this one. He swears he could take out 11 other guys. That's what Emerson is. Emerson is the living, physical, professional athlete embodiment of Christian Durant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll admit it.
And if you look up the highlights of that video, you will see Emerson, instead of taking the easy pass, he sees 3 defenders. He's like, you know what? I can somehow get through you. I got him. That's it. That's it. Yeah. So I appreciate what Emerson does because he brings a lot of energy. He gets the ball up the field. But, man, and there was a water break at some point, the 80th, 70th minute, something like that. And they showed Phil Neville kind of giving an earful to him because he's like, dude, you got to play smarter, right? Because he's not helping the team. I think if we have Lassiter running the left wing instead of Emerson, this game might be different because Emerson had his chances, but he just made some boneheaded plays. Lassiter has been balling this year.
Well, I think go ahead, Brad.
I just have a question. If somebody is described as a super bonehead, is that somebody you really want on your team? Because if that's the Chris guy, he goes, "Oh, he's a super bonehead." Personally, I don't want him on my roster, right? Especially on a game like this where one player can kill a squad, right? Like we see it in world football. One player can completely kill a squad if they're like that. This is not football. Soccer is not a game where it's one-on-one. You can't do it alone. The bet, like you just can't.
I mean, look, this kid is 21 years old, okay, and he's got a lot of potential. Okay, this kid has a ton of potential, and with the good plays are gonna come bonehead plays. I mean, I saw a play myself where he literally tried to nutmeg a guy when it was 2-on-1, and it was just this last game. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, Emerson, you're an idiot. You had Campana cutting right down the middle. You couldn't just give him the quick one-timer. And
Look,
but I guess that's what you got to take with guys like this.
But that's where we were missing last year. Because the thing is, Emerson usually comes in late in the games. He got in a lot earlier this game. I forgot what minute. It was early in the second half that he got in. So we saw a lot more Emerson than we usually do. So it's a lot easier to pick on him because he made so many more bonehead plays this game. But usually we have Lassiter, which I think is great on the left side. We usually have Robbie Robinson, but he's out for, I don't know, is he out for the year? I know he's out for a while. So we're losing some depth. So Emerson's playing a lot more. And I think that we're suffering because of that. Robert Taylor, wasn't he the one that got subbed out for Emerson?
Yes,
I'd
it
have to
was. I
check
mean,
that.
look, I'm not a big fan of Robert Taylor to begin with. I mean, I wouldn't want
Neymar
really,
Light?
Nah, I don't know, man. But he's such a
Neymar?
he's such a bad passer. He is such a bad passer.
But
on
he
this
passes
team.
though.
I mean, he
Exactly.
passes. Yeah, but I mean, they're not good. He freaking passed. I remember 2 games ago, he made a pass straight to the other team and they scored immediately. I mean, Robert Taylor, from what I've seen as a passer, has not been great. And I'm not a fan of that. Not at all.
Well, is there somebody that stood out to you in a positive way this game?
You know
Ben.
who's
I'll go Ben first. I'm sorry.
I think Bryce Duke always stands out for me, bro. Even him playing a terrible position that he shouldn't have been playing. There's just look, I watch the game differently sometimes. So I watched it twice, right? Like I watched it like the second half and this first half. Like just try his movement. Like again, it's like it's a lot of times like there's a player on the field that's and everybody else, and his movements and his runs into space and like his ability to pick out certain things are just different for me, right? Like he's the first kid, like and this is from the Minnesota game, I think it was. Like just seeing just a couple little highlights, I was like, oh, okay. You could just see it, like it jumps off the screen for you. So for me, until otherwise, it's always gonna be Bryce Duke for me. Until maybe Pozuelos comes in and like I want to see how they interact because then you have 2 playmakers and 2, you know what I mean? Like it might be a little different. Now 2 different avenues to get the ball to Campana and never Higuain because sorry. You know what I mean? Like I just want to see that interaction. And I think it's the first time that I see it that like, okay, we're starting to see playmakers. We're starting to see some players on this squad. Obviously it's building, right? Like you don't win your championship in your first year when you're an expansion team. It takes time to build this. Yes, the hype and all the talk got everybody excited. But seeing a player like him, you know what I mean? Seeing sometimes, you know what I mean? Like seeing Campana, I was like, okay, this guy can get it. Like I see the growth and I see the development. Yeah, pause. I see the growth and development of these kids. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, it's always gonna be Bryce Duke for me.
Well, the thing with Bryce Duke is that he just can't finish. I don't know if you guys were watching that Open Cup game where they went to penalty shootout against Orlando. I don't think I've ever seen a poor taken PK than the one that Bryce Duke did.
It was Messi against Peru, CONMEBOL 2017.
Did it get to the net? Because Bryce Dukes, I was questioning if it was even going to get to the net or to the goalie. Like that's how much force was put into that kick. It was honestly, I was so disappointed in that. And since then, I'm like, you know what? I think he's a great passer. I love seeing him in the midfield, but he just can't finish in the final third. And I think that's why he's going to lose his spot to Pozuelo. And he might get in there every once in a while. Let's say we're trailing late, so maybe we take out Mota and put him in to be a little more offensive. But Bryce Duke, until he starts finishing, he's going to have some issues getting some minutes in the game.
I think.
What about you, Chris?
I think it's. I think if I was to pick a player other than Bryce Duke, because Bryce Duke would be my 1A for sure. I think that he's made incredible strides as a midfielder for sure. He's made really consistent improvements in his game, and you can tell by his improvements how well the team is playing since he's made those improvements.
What about this past game though?
I mean, look, I think
up until the own goal, Damian Lowe was doing great.
I think the person that stood out to me really well was Yedlin. I feel like he played very well on both sides of the ball as a defender, and I feel like he pushed the tempo a lot from his side. I mean, there was maybe 2 or 3 big plays where him pushing the tempo could have led to a possible goal. I mean, it's very hard, I would assume, for him to come from the back of the defense. But I've noticed that even though Phil Neville's been setting up more defenders, more of a defensive mindset, he's had his outside defenders pushing up a little more to help out with the offense. And so I've noticed that DeAndre Yedlin for sure has been part of that package as far as pushing up
Yeah, no,
the
yeah,
field.
for sure. Yeah, he's not playing the traditional right back. He's playing the wing back for sure, where he has to run back and forth. He has to be right back, and he also be the right wing. And I also noticed that he was making a lot of overlapping runs with Indiana Vasilev. Now, Indiana Vasilev, that's another one that I like him as a late sub, but that's another one that just loves to just take everybody out and just go for glory. I saw a couple overlapping runs that Yedlin made where Indiana probably could have found them, and he kind of just stuck to his one and kicked, turned it up the middle. But real quick, no, go ahead.
One point I want to mention about Bryce Duke, so we can get off of that topic. I really feel bad for Bryce Duke because Pozuelo's going to come in. He's going to take that spot. And I'm really questioning what the development is going to be for Bryce Duke from this point forward, especially with the fact that we're bringing Pozuelo in to play midfielder. Is it going to hurt the potential of this player in Bryce Duke, homegrown, I think, right?
No, we got him from LAFC just this past offseason.
Okay. His development is going to take a huge toll, and we're talking about a kid that at some point he wants to earn his minutes, and he's going to be facing up against a huge challenge, and not just Pozuelo, but with, Gimota and with and Gregory.
Now, there's something that Phil Neville does that I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I really couldn't tell you because sometimes I think it's good, sometimes I think it's bad. Bryce Duke could get his minutes. He's just going to play him out of position. He'll throw him out in the left wing. He'll throw him out in the right wing. He says he wants his players to be able to play multiple positions, which I guess in some ways that's good. But I feel like there's certain players that are just made or just best suited at a specific position. So I do think Bryce Duke will still get some minutes. It's not going to be at the attacking midfield because Pozuelo is going to hold that down more than likely. But we'll see where that goes. And I just wanted to touch on real quick on the player that stood out to me the most. I think Drake Callender had a pretty good game. I think he came and he attacked the ball whenever he saw that it was maybe a possible something was building. He would come out when he needed to. Obviously, the lack of communication there with Damian Lowe was poor. But there was a ball that was maybe in the 80th minute or so where I thought Orlando scored for sure. And I'm not sure where Damian Lowe came in and dove for it. And he blocked it. I think that might have been the only shot on goal for Orlando. But I think
it was on the cross.
Was it? Okay. Well, then Drake Callender, I think, has been one of the best goalies in MLS over the last couple of weeks. Marsman's finally healthy, but I don't think he's going to get back on the field because I think Drake Callender's been doing a great job holding it down with the Batman mask and all that. I think that he's that guy. So I just wanted to go over the stats real quick for the game. So let me just pop those up right quick. So it's obvious, right? The possession was won by Orlando. But, I mean, when you really think about the possession, they were passing it, but they weren't getting forward. I felt like when Miami, with crazy people like Emerson, they were getting into the final third. Now, did they create anything out of it? I guess not. So I guess it wasn't necessarily all productive. But Orlando got the possession 55-45. We had shots on goal 10-8 in favor of Miami. Both teams only had one shot on goal. Miami's came extremely early. It was like the third or fourth minute with that Indiana shot where I think the goalie might have blocked it with his face. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, for sure it was with his face.
Yeah, pass accuracy just about the same. 19 fouls for Miami, 1 yellow card each. For the most part, it was a pretty even game. Really, I felt like nobody really deserved to win that game because it was just pretty bad all over around.
Yeah, it had a draw. It had a draw written all over it for sure.
It did. It had your typical derby draw, right? Because all the derby games are, unless it's LAFC against LA Galaxy, all derbies across the world are just hard-fought, low-scoring games, and that's what it just felt like it was going to be.
Yeah.
But now we dropped this point. Orlando got it, and we're back down to 10th place. Now, luckily, we still have a game in hand on most teams, but we're still on the outside looking in, and even if we get a win against Philadelphia coming up, we're still going to be out of that. Yeah, we still would be at most 8th seed. So we still got some ways to go before we get into the playoffs. What are you thinking about this, Chris?
I mean, Orlando jumped up, I think, 3 seeds from this win. They jumped up, I believe, 3 seeds. We dropped down, I think, two seeds just on this loss. This game was huge. I mean, if we would have at least walked away with a point, we wouldn't be hurting as much as we are now.
Yeah, look, it's a tough game, man. That was such a hard loss. It felt like one of those losses. Like, mind you, we still have, what is it, 15, 16 games left in the season, but it feels like one of those losses where like it could come back to haunt you when you're already
For
on
sure.
the outside looking in. So and to lose to your rival like that, like, because look, you got Philly next. That's number 2. I don't know, man. I don't want to be the pessimist, but that loss hurt me, bro. Like, just the way to lose that game. We're like, oh, you got a draw. Look, you're not that far out of it. You kind of maintain your space. But man, that loss hurt me, bro. I can't even front. That was like, I would have been livid if I went to, like, I would have been hurt, dog. I would have been hurt. Don't ask me if I'm all right. I'm hurt, dog. I'm hurt.
Listen, I think that this loss, depending on the outcome of the next couple games, is gonna be either that loss that pushed Inter Miami to move up, or that loss that catastrophically dropped the team. Because,
Well,
go ahead.
I will tell you, like last year, we went on a crazy run during the summer. We went on a crazy run, and we had, I don't know how many games where we hadn't dropped any points. We had either gotten a draw or a win for the majority of the summer. And then the Red Bulls came to town, and they beat us. And that started a straight avalanche. And we just started losing. And we went from, like, I want to say like the 5th seed in the playoffs to not even a chance by the last week of the season. So you're right. One of these losses could just spiral your season out of control, because it happened last year. And I wouldn't doubt that there's a good chance, unless they quickly salvage against Philly, that this could start again this year.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I feel like the elephant in the room here is Gonzalo Higuain. And
He's
I
big
don't know,
enough.
man. I have a very different opinion about him.
Literally the
And
elephant in the room.
I have a very different opinion about him. And maybe it's just because I don't know enough of soccer, but I feel like, is it even possible? And you guys tell me what you think. Do you think it's even possible for Higuain to, I mean, to play the midfield? You really have to put in a lot of minutes and play good defensively. Is it even possible to have him play the mid? Because he, to me, in the last 2 games that he played, he's been pretty good. He's been able to set up little spots where we've had advantageous attacking points. So to me, I feel like he's a huge asset. But would it be too far-fetched to ask for him to play midfield or something?
I think going into this year, they gave him that opportunity, right? They've played him and Campana at the same time sometimes, and he has been getting back, winning balls on the other side of the field. But there's a couple things about Higuain, not just his stamina, his physical appearance, but I feel like his personality just doesn't. I think that's what started rubbing me and other fans the wrong way immediately. It's just the way he acts, because you want somebody like that, with that much experience, with that big a name, that people maybe even look up to you when you come play with them. For him to act the way he does on the field, it yells everything but leader. I'm going to play this clip back, okay? Now, the clip that we showed earlier, the own goal, I want you to watch this back. And I want you to tell me if you notice something at the very end of this play. Now, he just scored a goal. Now, do you see absolutely anybody throwing their hands up or yelling at Low or anything like that?
No, nothing.
If anything, I saw Calendar, although he might have messed up, maybe Low messed up, he was disappointed. He went up to Low, tapped him in the butt, and said, "It's all good. Keep your head up. Let's go. We still got 2 or 3 minutes." Higuain doesn't do that, right? Higuain is not a leader, okay? So just based off of his personality on the field, I feel like positivity and negativity are transformative. I feel like if you give somebody a lot of positivity, it's almost contagious, right? You can get other people to be contagious, positive also. But I feel the same way about negativity. If you are a very negative person, I feel like the negativity spreads. And I feel like that's what that guy brings to the field. So I don't want that guy anywhere near the locker room. I understand that he has to be here for the rest of the year, but please keep him off the field. Please.
So Chris, to answer your question, look, there's different kinds of leaders, right? Like to Danny's point, there's different kinds of leaders. There's like the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans who punch their teammates in the face, but you can't be that guy when you've never been that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's never been the reason at any of his clubs, the reason why any of them have succeeded. He's just always been a guy on that roster, right? But he came over with that. I played at Juventus. I played at Real Madrid. So he came with it, but he was never a guy that like, yo man, I'm gonna get Higuain's jersey, right? He's never been that, right? Like, he's never been somebody who to us was like in the top 100 of soccer players, right? But like, he came over like, oh, you should be thankful I'm here.
Yeah, you know, nice one in Italy, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, hold on, 1 second, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's the problem. Like, he came, yes, he can do good things and good because he is a good soccer player. He's a really good soccer player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but his attitude and his energy is contagious, right? Like, in a negative way. Like, he's just never been that. I'll put my bias. I've never liked him, right? Regardless of his performances, I've just never been a fan of him, weight or not weight. Look, I'm nobody to criticize anybody's weight. I'm fat too. You know what I'm saying? But in that sport, being fat is different. In that sport, 15 pounds can be the difference of you never playing again. Like, we saw that with our club in Eden Hazard. When you're like 150, but 165, your calves and your hamstrings don't hold up. Your weight is very different in that sport, unlike any other. So you can't show up out of shape and then be like, oh, I could show up and just smoke a cigar and be good. Don't worry about me. I'm golden. You know what I mean? Like, he can't come in with that. To me, he has the body of a center like a CDM more than a striker, but he can't keep up that pace and be that tough. That's my rant.
Well, and it's funny because the issue at hand is, in the last game, I overheard in the post-game interview with Higuain where he basically said, I need more minutes. I need more minutes. And one of the reporters asked him, do you think you didn't get enough minutes because are you hurt? Are you injured? And he says, I'm not injured. I just need more minutes to warm up into where I need to go back to. And
when you're old, you need that.
But you know what's crazy, though, is that he needs more minutes. He wants to go back. He's not injured, but then he didn't show up to the Orlando game. So that speaks volumes in terms of where Higuain is with this team. That, to me, said more than anything in this whole game.
Did they announce or make an excuse as to why he wasn't there?
I heard one of the broadcasters on the Orlando broadcast state that it was medical related or injury related. I'm not sure which of the two, but I did hear that it was related to like some sort of an injury or medical thing that he didn't go with the team.
Okay. Well, now leaving this Orlando loss behind, right? It's done. We'll see them again on September 4th, I believe, and I'm sure it'll be fun once the supporter groups come and sit right next to us, Chris. All right, we got Philadelphia coming up. Well, I guess this randomly popped up, but I guess we'll talk about this right now also. We got the power rankings from ESPN. We are ranked 17th. Now, they always have a little splurb, right, on the bottom. It says no Miami player had more touches, more attempts, passes, or more completed passes than Damian Lowe, which is what makes that loss even more brutal being on his foot because he played his ass off. We are ranked 17th. I believe we dropped in the rankings, but we're not 30th, right? There's not 30 teams. Take that back. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. Please don't judge me.
I think we
got Philadelphia. No, it's not 30.
No, I was about to say 32, but forget it.
We got Philadelphia coming up. Now, did anybody see that Philadelphia scoreline coming up? Or did I just pass this past week?
I did not. I missed that.
Okay.
Oh,
Chris,
you know what?
Fill him in on what he missed.
You missed Philadelphia basically shitting on New England. It was New England they played, right? And they basically scored 7 goals. It might have been DC. It might have been DC, New England. Who cares? whoever they played doesn't matter. They scored 7 goals, and I believe they really had the opportunity to score like 12 in total. So yeah, that's
Jesus.
what
Yes,
Inter Miami's
yes,
facing.
it was 7-0. It was DC United, and obviously DC United was down so bad that they just hired Wayne Rooney to be their coach. So that's how bad things have gotten over there in DC. And I'm not joking. He really is coming back to be their coach. And just to put it out there, Julian Carranza, we loaned him out to Philadelphia. He got a hat trick this game. And I believe they pulled him early also. He could have gotten more. Now, he's loaned out, but they have an option to buy for like, I forgot, it's like chump change. So there's a good chance that we don't see him again. But we have them coming in 7-0. How you feeling about this game, Chris, now that you saw Philly in action?
I mean, it's not good. I mean, Philly scored 7 goals. I mean, pretty handedly. Like I said, and the worst part is that watching those highlights, and you got to watch the highlights, Ben, whenever you get the opportunity after the show, you're going to see that they literally had the opportunity to maybe score somewhere between 10 to 12 goals easily. It was an embarrassment if I was a DC fan. And you're talking about a team that, like you mentioned, they're second in the Eastern Conference, but only by default because they played, I think, a game less than the Red Bulls. So in reality, they're actually matched up 33 points apiece each. So, wow, that's pretty crazy, brother.
I was just looking it up. We've played them 6 times. We haven't played them this year. They beat us 3 times. We beat them once. We have 2 draws. And but today marks 100 days since the last time Inter Miami lost at home. So we've been hot at home, right? We have the worst road record in the league, but we have, well, I don't want to say the best, but we are hot at home. So that's in our favor. I'm hoping that Higuaín doesn't see the field this week. Are you looking for absolutely anybody different in the lineup next week? Or I'm sorry, not next week, on Wednesday, Ben?
I'm looking to see more 4-3-3. I'm not, like, I want to jump back to what you said earlier. I've never been a fan of the 5 at the back because you're gonna have a situation like, look, if you don't have 5 at the back and you have Yedlin just playing a straight up right back, you don't have him running back and forth. Maybe he covers that cross, and I mean, instead of having to do overlapping runs over and over. So I've never been a fan of 5 in the back. Is there a chance? Is this the game that we get to see Pozuelos come in on, or is there still issues with his visa with Canada and all that?
So the new French winger we got, Corentis Jean. First of all, they call him Coco for some reason, so that's probably easier. So Coco Jean. Yeah. He's having issues with his work visa, as is Pozuelo. They're saying that they're working on both of them. Supposedly, there's a good chance that we see Coco before we see Pozuelo, but neither one of those is going to be until next week. So don't count on seeing them either this week or this weekend either. So the next 2 games is probably almost for sure that we won't see either one of them, which is disappointing because I really want to see how this team does playing up the middle, because I feel like since we play up the wings so much, we rely a lot on players like Emerson and Indiana to create for us. And sometimes they're not the best playmakers at times. They can create for themselves, but sometimes they make some boneheaded plays. But
super boneheads.
So what are you looking forward to this game? Anybody you want to see? You want to see Emerson back? You want to see Emerson back in that lineup, don't you, Chris?
I really don't. I want to see Lassiter come back for sure. I mean, Lassiter, to me, in the last couple games that he's played before the injury, he's a very tactical player. He's not like Emerson, where it's just go and go crazy and try to nutmeg 2 players at the same time. He's a very strategic player. If he sees that he doesn't have the opportunity, he dishes it back out. And I think that that's what's necessary in this team. One of the things that I'm not looking forward to be honest, is sort of the tango in the midfield. I think that these next couple games, I think it's a good thing that these 2 players that we just signed aren't coming, because those guys really got to hit the wall, but really, really fast, because their positions are up. I mean, in my opinion, you're talking about Ulloa. He's going to be out of the count as far as in the rotation, because to me, Bryce Duke goes over him. Gene Mota, to me, I mean, Gene Mota's been okay. He's not like the greatest.
He was
He's
hyped up when he first got here, but he hasn't lived up to the hype yet.
like Gregory, he's been really good defensively. He's been pretty good offensively. So for me, he's the only one that is actually with a solidified position in the midfield. Everybody else, that position's up for grabs. And as far as I know, Coco is not a midfielder. He's a striker. So I don't know whether he's going to be taking one of the wings.
He plays out in the wing also. He plays out in the wing also. So I think they have him as a hybrid. They could put him in as a sub for Campana if necessary, but he plays out in the wings.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
That brings my hope in of never seeing Higuain on the pitch again, right? Because then you have Coco being the backup to Campana, and then just go ahead and just pushing Fat Guain out the door. Hey, man, thanks.
Or Coco Beware is just going to be like a sidekick with Leonardo Campana. You know what I mean? Like Coco Beware, yeah. It might go two up top, like how Phil Neville had planned against Orlando, instead of having Bryce Duke awkwardly in the top.
That was weird. I don't know why they did that randomly and then they switched it like 5 minutes into the game. There has to be something to that. I don't know if maybe he thought that would change Orlando's tactics before the game or something, because that was just an odd thing to do.
I had a question, just real quick. What are your thoughts on two at the top? Period. Like I've never really been a fan of that either. Like two strikers. I've never been cool. I don't know. Just like the spacing is always off for any game I've ever seen, even European.
It's interesting you bring that up because I'm also not a fan. I'd rather have two wingers on the outside. But I will tell you that there's rumors that Luis Suarez is getting a lot of offers from MLS teams, which I think Inter Miami would probably be leading the pack in that. I don't know how we would do it with no DP positions available right now. But LAFC somehow got Gareth Bale, so I'm sure people can do some shady stuff. But if we were to get Luis Suarez in the next couple of weeks, I mean, you can't just randomly bench Campana. So at that point, you're almost forced to play two up top, no?
Well, I think that two up top basically says my strikers are not super fast. No? To me, that's what it seems like. I mean, if you have a striker that's super fast, then it's like, okay, I just want one of you up top because you could just destroy everybody in speed. But maybe
strikers don't need as much speed because you just need to be able to position yourself and make good runs while you're in the box. Now, you need to have some unselfish strikers so that they could find each other if necessary, feed off of each other, and make those runs. But back to Ben's point, I feel like when you have two strikers, I feel like it gets kind of crowded in there, and you have to have the spacing necessary. But with Pozuelo pulling the strings, maybe it's something doable. I didn't think that Luis Suarez was an option this summer, but rumors are saying that it's a possibility. So
my issue that I've always seen, to give a little counterpoint, I think you need like a quicker striker to counterbalance with that slower striker for that like second striker to make the runs, to be like a support for that second, you know what I mean? But you can't have two slow strikers, and I don't look at. We're not gonna get into it. We're like my stance on Luis Suarez, because if he wears this beautiful pink here, it might change slightly. You know what I mean? But I can't give too much of that. But I just don't. For me, the spacing of it has always been awkward, right? Because most strikers like to crowd the same lines, like to take the same alleys, same lanes. So it's just always been weird where you need that quicker supporter striker for the main striker, right? So two of them can't play the same position because it just doesn't work. That's why, like, in European, like, that's why you never saw Jovic ever play with Benzema. That's why you always see wing. You know what I mean? Like, you need that super striker and then the supporting roles where everybody knows their space. But it gets too crowded for me with two strikers. I've never seen it be effective.
With the Bryce Duke thing, it was almost like he was playing a false nine, though, right? Because if he was technically going to keep that position, he really wasn't going to be in the box as much. He'd be creating more above the box and maybe working his way into the box. I don't know who would be playing something like that if it was Luis Suarez and Campana, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Chris, you wanted to say something?
I don't know, dude. When I play FIFA, I got 2 up top, 4 in the middle, and 4 on the bottom. Like that's just the way that I got it set up.
You play the empty bucket? You play 4-4-2?
I mean, whatever, dude. That's the setting it comes with, and the rest of
no, it doesn't.
you know
No,
what I
you can
used to
change
play
it, Chris.
with. I know
You
I
can
could
change
change it, but like why? I used to play the 4-5-1 or 5-4-1, 5-4-1.
Yeah,
But
that's what you're a Neville.
yeah, I mean, but that's because I got Neymar, and I could just
This is you. This is you right
burn
here.
everybody.
That's you. And
No, that's not me
instead of
because I would bring down
instead of
Moda.
Neymar, we got Emerson running down the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean the Kmart discounted Emerson. I mean, what's his name? Not Emerson. Kmart discounted Neymar.
Yeah.
And so I know that when it comes to like the records, with MLS, one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I mean, there's a ton of games left.
We're halfway through the season right now.
Yeah, there's still a lot of games left, so it's not like we're out of the discussion, and we still got a couple teams that are worse than us.
For sure.
Just
like I said, we have a game in hand.
Yeah, we just got to be careful with point differential. We can't get too far behind. Like we got to hope they drop points too, right? Like, all right, the 6th spot, but you got to make some movement here. You can't have too many draws are cool, but like a couple more losses could completely. Then you got to start winning games, and it's hard to
derail the entire season.
Well, look, if we can pull off a win against Philadelphia, we'll be in a good spot, right? Because we'll make up some ground because we'll finally be even with games played, and in reality, we're beating the best team in the East, and that would be a major confidence booster going into a game against Charlotte, which I believe might be ahead of us in the standings also. But I mean, Charlotte doesn't really strike me as anybody. Yeah, Charlotte's right there in 6th. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Me and Chris will be there. And luckily, Chris is bringing his son. So his son is almost like a good luck charm. Jose is undefeated this season. So definitely good that he's bringing the good luck charm this year.
Just bring him every game. I don't understand. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, his wife might have something to say about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can't sprinkle the luck every game because then what happens if he loses? Then that's it. It's gone. I just got to bring him out when we need it. And we need it. And we need it this Wednesday against the team that scored 7 goals.
For sure.
God, that sounds like so much.
Yeah, I mean,
7 goals.
You
7
have to
goals
watch
sounds
the
so
highlights.
much more than like 7. 7 goals just sounds so much harder. Like if you hear like 49-21, that's crazy. 7-0 is hard, bro. Hard.
Yeah, they scored 5 in the first half.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful.
That's it. They pulled the reins in the second half. Is what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly.
All right, so real quick, Inter Miami Barcelona officially sold out. So that stadium will be jam packed for Inter Miami versus Barcelona next week. Hopefully that means that somebody buys my tickets because you damn right I put them on sale. F you if you're judging me. I don't care.
I think that Higuain is going to start that game just because of Higuain.
Yes, I want him to start that game. Yes,
he's going to start
100%.
Sure.
Yeah, play.
You know what? And run them the 95 minutes. Go.
And I wonder how that's going to fare for him, especially considering that he's had European experience. You know, I mean, are these guys going to look at him like, you're trash, guy? Or are they going to look at him like, oh, it's Higuain? Like, I wonder how it's going to be.
They've always looked at him like that.
I don't know, man.
This is your conscience. This is your conscience.
Did you see the video that I sent you about the history of Higuain and how well I mean, you guys got to check it out.
Hey, Chris, I refuse to give any more minutes of my life to anything Higuain. Respectfully. And thank you for taking the time out to send that to us. I appreciate it. But I only have so much Higuain time in my life, and it's been too long already. It's extra time, and I'm Damian Lowe. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happened.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do my man Damian Lowe like that.
Listen, man, respect to him, bro. He was balling out in that game. He was.
Yeah.
Respect to him.
Oh, well, anybody got anything else?
I mean, look, I feel like the game that's coming up, I think we'll walk away with a If anything, with a tie, hopefully a win. I look forward to the Charlotte game. I feel like we can definitely walk out with a win.
We're a great home team. I have no doubt that we could be just about anybody at home. Philadelphia got me a little shook with that 7-0.
And let me tell you, I'm really looking forward to Higuain starting against Barcelona. But even more, I know for sure Emerson is going to start against Barcelona too. And I can't wait to watch that because that's going to be entertaining.
Yes. I'm also looking forward to that. I bet you he nutmegs Piqué 3 times.
I think
Everybody
so.
nutmegs Piqué.
He's nasty. Don't sleep on don't sleep on the
He's just
Colombian
fast.
boy, son.
Look. I'll close it out with this. When we got Emerson, I knew somebody that's a big Millonarios fan. That's the team he played for in Colombia. And they were conflicted on how they felt because they felt he had a lot of potential, but he had a lot of maturing to do, right? Because he made, like we said, a lot of bonehead plays, a lot of young mistakes. And it looks like he's still doing them. And on this level, professional, there's only so many chances you get. He's probably going to get shit back to Colombia if he doesn't get his shit together.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that.
Well, with that, was a pleasure. Episode number 3 in the books. We'll probably try to get another episode in after the Philadelphia game where we're celebrating a W. Right? Yes? I think you all feel confident.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I got, you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. 2-0.
Okay.
I like that.
I like that too. 2-0. I'll say 2-1. 2-1.
I mean, this team just scored 7 goals. You got to give them at least 1 goal. I mean,
I'm sorry, but they weren't playing against the Dark Knight.
I think it's going to be 3-2.
3-2.
Miami takes the dub.
I can't give a shootout. If we get into a shootout, I don't see Miami doing. I got
Drake
2-0.
ain't giving up 2 goals. Drake ain't giving up 2 goals.
I got 2-0. I got 2. I think Philly comes in here confident, like, oh, we just dropped 7. We can do it against anybody. Then they see that mask. You're like, oh no, we can't even see the net. You know what I mean? Respect the mask, baby.
In calendar, I trust. Yes, sir. Let's see. Drake and calendar hasn't allowed more than 1 goal since May 14th.
There you go.
Oh no, I'm lying. In June 19th, but that's when he got injured, I think, in Atlanta.
That was when he got injured.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises, baby.
In Drake, we trust. Actually, let me say calendar. That sounds kind of weird to say Drake. In calendar, I trust.
This all of a sudden became a totally different podcast at the end of the day.
That was weird.
We just out here lover boying. This is what we doing.
Yeah. All right, with that, we're signing off. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.